We are going to look at how to find slope from a table. A table is an x and a y. So the way we find it, remember slope is identified as m. To find slope from a table, we are going to do change of y over change of x. And when we talk about change in math is also difference between y values, difference between x values. We can also use a letter in the Greek alphabet. It's called delta. It's a little triangle. Triangle y over triangle x. Where triangle, we write it as delta. So whenever I do it, I'm going to put triangle y, triangle x, but I'm going to say change in y over change in x. So let's look at our first example. We are going to find the changes of y, changes of x, and then write it as a fraction. So don't trim this up until the end, and then we'll glue it in. So I always want to do my y's first. So instead of looking at my x values on the table, I'm going to look at my y values first. I'm going to look at from one y to the next y right underneath it. So I'm going to look at 5 going to 10. So I'm going to add 5, and that's my change of y from that one to that one. Then I go to my next one, 10 to 15. That's also a plus 5. From 15 to 20, that's also a plus 5. Then our x's, we're going to do the x's going from 1 to 2, that's just a plus 1. From 2 to 3, another plus 1. From 3 to 4, another plus 1. So we'll write this as m equals change of y over change in x. Write the formula down. The change of y's come from over here. This is my change of y. So it's going to be 5 over my change of x comes from the x side, the left side, 5 over 1, which just gives us 5. So what we can do is we can write m equals 5 and put a box around it. So let's look at number 2. From negative 2 to 1. So if you're not sure how to do that, you could subtract it. So you could take the second one and do 1 minus a negative 2. So going from negative 2 to 1 is adding 3. Going from 1 to 7 is adding 6. Going from 7 to 10 is adding 3. So they can be different, but if the change in y's is different from each other, then the change in x's will be different from each other too. So we'll look at 1 to 2 is a plus 1, and 2 to 4 is a plus 2, 4 to 5 is a plus 1. Then we'll write it as the fraction. Change of y over change in x. I'm going to write it again. So it's 3 over 1. Or, I'm going to write or, the other one is 6 over 2. So if you need to, you can write change of y over here. So you remember that's the y's, that the change of y's is, y's. And and then change of x here. But either one of these, they equal the same thing. 3 over 1 is 3, 6 over 2 is 3. So equals 3, and I'm going to write m equals 3 and put a box around it. Yeah, even if they're different, whenever you reduce them, they'll come out to equal the same. So I'm going to let you do 3 through 7 right now, and we'll look at 8 and 9 together. You can check your work. So I'm going to pause it. I'll have you pause it and go ahead and do 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right. Hopefully you were able to do 3 through 7. So let's go ahead and look at those. 3, I'm going to go through it pretty fast because you should have already done it. So it's change of y over change in x. So remember, we're not using the actual x's and y's, we're using the change of y, which would be 5 over 2, because the change of x is 2. So it comes out to be 5 over 2. Number 4, this is going down by 1, this is going down by 2, this is going down by 1. Adding 1, adding 2, and adding 1. So the change of y over change in x, negative 1 over 1, or negative 2 over 2, which these equal the same thing whenever you put them in the calculator, and they just equal negative 1. So m equals negative 1. Number 5. So some of these with the negatives can be confusing. So what you would do is you'd do the second one. So negative 3. See if I can pull up my calculator. It would be negative 3 minus whatever the first one is, a negative 11. And that comes out to be 8. So this was adding by 8. You can do the same thing for the next one. I would do 5 minus a negative 3. It's also 8. And then positives are pretty easy. 5 plus 8 is 13. So that's your change of y. Change of x is plus 2. Change of y over change in x. That'd be 8 over 2, which is 4. So m equals 4. Verse 6, negative 2 to 0 is adding 2. 0 to 2, adding 2. 2 to 4, adding 2. That's our change of y. Then our x side, 0 to 6 plus 6. 6 to 12 plus 6. 12 to 18 plus 6. Change of y over change in x. Change of y's is 2. Change of x's is 6. So you can always reduce this in your calculator. So I could do 2 divided by 6. It comes out as a decimal. And then I'd hit math, enter, enter. And that will reduce the fraction for me. 1/3. So m equals 1/3. Okay, number 7, 26 to 18. So you could do 18 minus 26. So it is going down. 18 minus 26. Going down by 8. 18 to 10, down by 8 again. 10 to 2, down by 8. That's my change of y's. And then change of x's. Add 4. Add 4. Add 4. That's my change of x. So that comes out, oh, I wrote it wrong. There we go. Change of y is negative 8 over 4, which you reduce that to equal negative 2. So m equals negative 2. So I want y'all to write it in simplest form, put a box around it so it's easy for me to find, especially on assignments. Okay, our next one, change of y's. There are no changes. It's all negative 3. That's a plus 0. 0 change there. The x's is subtracting by 2. No one's subtracting by 4. So it's 0 over negative 2 or 0 over negative 4, which eggs are on top. Remember that? Eggs on top are okay. If they're okay, then it equals 0. Eggs on bottom is not okay. That's where it's undefined. All right, change on number 9, going from 2 to 4. 2, 4 to 6, plus 2, 6 to 8, plus 2. And then our x's are not changing, so it's a plus 0. So in this one, the change of y over change in x is 2 over 0. Eggs on bottom, not okay. So it's undefined. We're going to do one last thing on here is decreasing functions or slopes. Up there, we're decreasing. We're going to list out the problems that had decreasing slopes. Decreasing means that there'll be negative slopes. So let's look through and see positive, positive, positive. These are neither positive nor negative. So it's just 4 and 7. And then increasing, make a list of those. Like all of them except for 4, 7, and 8, 9. So 1, 2. So they're increasing because they're positive. 3, 5, and 6. You'll glue this in the next page. If you want to trim it up before you glue it in, you can. And a tables worksheet.